surprised to find out that the Warriors are second in the league in defensive rating. And you might also be wondering what they did to Jayson Tatum to get him so frustrated. Without Jaylen Brown in the lineup, head coach Steve Kerr was emboldened to send multiple defenders at Tatum and dare the other Celtics to beat them. For 24 minutes, this worked to perfection as the Celtics could only muster 40 points, their lowest scoring first half this season by far. It all started early when they run Kata up to ball screen for Tatum. Wiggins and Jackson Davis blast the ball and force it out of his hands. Excellent hands by Moody to deflect it and get the steal. If the strategy was to get it out of Tatum's hands, this possession was successful as Curry and Wiggins jumped the ball. Now it did give an opening to a good shooter in Drew Holiday, but they dodged this bullet. I'd never recommend bringing up Draymond's man to screen for the ball, especially knowing that they're going to blast the ball handler, and especially if you're going to throw a dying quail of the pass like this as Horford bats it out of bounds for another turnover. They tried again with the same personnel, and Tatum is in real trouble. Watch how the rotations work. They had Buddy guarding Horford, who is late getting out of the paint. So Buddy can show to Kata first, but Gary Payton II is the lowest offender, and it's his job to rotate over when the pass gets to the front of the rim. Kata struggled to maintain control of the ball a lot last night, and now watch how Buddy expertly dissuades the one more pass to the corner long enough for Draymond to recover, then excellent contest of the two-motion Horford shot into a miss. We'll get back to Buddy in a minute. If you're wondering why the Warriors decided to double-team Tatum like this, let's see what happened when the Knicks tried it with Jaylen Brown on the floor. By cutting Derek White to the middle from the weak side, it forces Hart to step up, leaving Brunson with a 35-foot closeout to Brown in the right corner. And that's an easy pass and easy shot that the Celtics didn't have last night. Taking it out of Tatum's hands early didn't necessarily help the Warriors immediately as they fell behind 14-3 out of the gate. And they tried to double with Peyton Pritchard as Draymond's long arms returned this pass to sender. Buddy rotated perfectly to Cornette and didn't get credit for the steal, but probably should have, as they're off to the races and the comeback is on. Derek White was not immune to the double either as he tries to retreat dribble and fumbles the ball. While he almost commits the backcourt violation, the offense was forced so high up the floor to release the pressure that Pritchard ends up touching the line with his foot to contribute to their 5 first-quarter turnovers. Derek White makes the mistake of turning his back to the defender. Now he can't see the floor, and it allows Jackson Davis to sneak up on him to double. However, Kyle Anderson must decouple from Cornette above the three-point line so that he could be 3 steps closer to Pritchard when he begins this closeout. Instead, it's a wide-open 3 and Payton makes him pay. Joe Mazzulla did adjust towards the end of the first quarter by sending a shooter to ball screen for Tatum. He knows the Warriors will be more reluctant to double and give up an open 3. Tatum gets an advantage when they don't blast him, but they get another turnover when Horford tries to split his feet on the catch to attack. Because his feet don't land with one sound, he establishes his left foot as the pivot and it comes off the floor before the ball is released out of Horford's hand. Now, this is technically a travel, but rarely, if ever, do they call this when it's done so smoothly. They do it again with Hauser ball screening, and you can see Kuminga doesn't want to leave the great shooter, so Tatum can freely attack Buddy in isolation. This is great defense to show Tatum his chest, absorb the contact twice, terrific support by both Looney and GP, and we get an incredible closeout to a blocked shot. Look where Payton is when he begins to jump, and he still gets to the ball as Buddy retrieves it for another stop. Wow. Tatum clearly struggled early to deal with this much attention on him, as everywhere he went he'd see extra bodies stunting at him, hands waving, physicality bumping him, and this frustration culminated in a series of plays beginning at the end of the first quarter, as the Warriors began to take control of the game. The Celtics foolishly go back to ball screening with their center. Here comes the double, and I have no idea how the refs missed this wild flail with his right elbow that connects with Looney's face. Plus, he ends the dribble here with his left foot on the floor. The right foot then becomes the pivot, which he lifts and puts back down before releasing into the pass. It's an obvious travel, but he's bailed out with a foul call instead. He lays his shoulder into Wiggins and adds a little push. Then he's grabbing Steph's jersey before delivering another blow, and I gotta say, I don't think this was a flop by Curry. But 2 defenders move towards him, so he gives it up, but White can't hit the open shot. Even on a defensive rebound, he's got guys swatting the ball out of his hands, and when they do get into the half court, he's got an elite athlete in Andrew Wiggins outright denying him the ball out top. He tries to shuck him out of the way, and when that doesn't work, he just shoves him out of the way on the backdoor cut, and the refs had seen enough. By screening with Steph's man, they know there won't be a double team. So, good adjustment, but Wiggins recovers perfectly, and now it's Tatum who is struggling with his left-hand dribble under duress for a bad turnover. The Celtics also went to the isolation game to avoid the double team of Tatum, but Wiggins was more than up for the task, as he's playing at a level we haven't seen since the Warriors last won a title. Check the no-middle defense to keep him to his left, and they get the exact shot they want, a contested long two. And Tatum got impatient with all this attention on him, again isolating against another tough defender in Payton, and he just throws it to Curry. Tatum finally got going in the third quarter by being a role player in the offense, letting his teammates set him up for some open looks from behind the arc while the defense scrambled to keep up, and that helped get Boston back in the hunt. But the guy that you have to pay attention to on the Warriors is Buddy Hield. While he's not starting yet, his gravity and movement on offense is starting to rival Klay Thompson in terms of impact and devastation to the defense. When he plays alongside Steph Curry, it's by far the best two-man lineup they have. And last night was no exception, so let's look at how Buddy earned the highest plus-minus on the team versus the Celtics. He had barely checked in and gotten warm before sprinting to the left wing off Curry's ball handling, and it's just over half a second to catch and then release this over the contestant into the basket. While this initial back screen didn't fool Hauser, who's got a two-handed grip on Hield's arm, Buddy's change of pace to fly around the Looney butt screen gets him just enough of an opening where he can catch it here and then release 27 frames later, which comes out to 0.45 seconds of release time. Splash. This set shapes up like Buddy is going to screen for Kuminga out of the corner, but instead he rejects that to use the Looney rub and catch Tatum way too low, as it generates a really good look that he won't miss many of. Pritchard seems to be prepared for the pin down from Looney, but the decision to spin move underneath the screen was a poor one, as Buddy has 6 feet of room on the catch and Pritchard has no effect with his contest. Because Draymond leaks out after this contest, it forces Kata to pick up a guard in transition. Sure enough, it's Buddy. And while this does look like they'll flow into their vaunted low post split, instead they let Kuminga go to work on a smaller defender while Buddy walks to his right and lulls Kata to sleep. Now he's attacking the closeout, forcing the help from White, which directly opens up the drive to Draymond, who draws 2 free throws. Buddy helps the offense get buckets just by his mere presence on the court. With an inside ball screen and the corner filled, you'd expect Hauser to help on the roll man, but he simply won't leave Buddy, and that means Payton gets the dunk plus the foul. Watch how this flare screen for Buddy pulls Cornette out of position on his own man, and while he tries his namesake contest from near the lane, Slow-Mo was on a roll. He'll come off a pin down like this 8 times a game, and watch how he attracts full-on help from 1 pass away. Just by his gravity, Buddy is creating openings for teammates which collapse the defense and eventually leads to the tip-in. If that was all he was doing, that would be great, but it's his defensive contributions that start to make me feel like he's as valuable as Klay Thompson was, at least in Klay's post-injury years. I don't blame the Celtics for forcing a switch to attack him, but he stays in front, doesn't foul, and then contests a long 2 into a miss. Perfect. They do it again in the third quarter with their big gun. Let's see how Buddy handles it. Watch how he plays no middle defense. Keeping the ball out of the middle of the floor is the foundation of any good defense. He stays down until Tatum gets in the air and then flies by for a really good contest that creates an embarrassing air ball. The Celtics do a great job moving the ball and attacking on the catch. But if Buddy can make a play like this every now and then, rotating to the lane and cold blocking the shot of a big man, then Coach Kerr will be forced to play him in the starting lineup. Down the stretch, Buddy wasn't as effective, and there's not much shame in getting scored on by Tatum on an ISO. He does it to everyone. But Tatum didn't help his team defensively last night, as he needed to be in lower position to help Drew Holiday on this back cut by Curry for a crucial layup that gave them the lead back. Hield gets attacked again in the pick and roll, and the Warriors make a mistake by having 2 players rotate to Tatum in the lane, leading to a wide open Horford corner 3. But Hield sprints the floor in transition as well as anyone in the NBA. Plus, he's not just a shooter, as he demonstrates with a high rip-through off-foot lefty runner off the glass. And just a comment on this rip-through, I criticized Giannis last week for this move because he puts his elbows at the face height of his defender. Buddy does the same thing and had enough separation so he didn't clock White in the face, but it's still a dangerous move that should be done with the ball at the height of the defender's face, not the elbows. They can use Buddy to bring the ball up so Steph can get busy coming off of screens. And this was a mistake by White. He shouldn't have switched this to leave Queta on an island against Curry on the wing. Notice how Queta positions his feet to allow middle penetration, and Curry demonstrate why you shouldn't do this as a defensive strategy. Buddy had a chance to redeem himself with this isolation by Tatum, but nice jab cross gets him an advantage downhill. Buddy recovers, and again, I'm a little surprised they let Tatum lower his shoulder like this. Buddy stays with it, good support from Looney, right up to the point where he drifts into Tatum to give him the and one. You don't lead the team in plus-minus off the bench just from your scoring. So when Curry has to reload on the three-pointer and it misses, check Buddy's hustle, but more importantly, his ability to predict where the ball was going, probably because of his own shooting expertise, and this extra possession basically won the game, as Curry collapses the defense enough that Looney can be in the right place at the right time. To ice the game, we get Tatum on Hield, and perhaps Tatum's frustration boiled over into exhaustion as he glitches on the Curry drive, walking around out there while his man is cutting hard to the open area for a beautiful catch and shoot with just a sliver of daylight. It was a treat to see these two go at it, even if neither of them was at full strength. And I know I've got January 20th circled for the next time they meet in San Francisco.